What's going on, everybody? It's Corpus HD. Welcome back to another video. Today we are checking out this 2009 Mazda Miata. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the review. So now this car is going to be the very first modified car I will have ever reviewed on the channel. And so anyway, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the very first ever modified car I've ever reviewed. Starting with the front end of this car. So now the only thing that's really changed on the exterior of this car, apart from the rear wing, which I'll get to in a few minutes, is the front end. Now the front end of this car is actually created by Carbon Miata, and the front splitter down here has actually been customly made, and it looks really cool up front. Moving on to the side profile of this car, the top of this car is made by CCP Fabrications, and it is aftermarket, and I must say it does look really cool on it as well. The rear spoiler on this car is also aftermarket and is made by Odula, and it's made in carbon fiber. As you can see that carbon fiber weave in there. It looks really cool. Talking about the wheels, so now all four wheels in this car are 17 by 9.5 inches, and the wheels themselves are ESR ES3 rims, and I must say they really do look good on this car. Talking about the paint of this car, now this paint is a custom paint made by Adam Customs, as well as the full front fascia. It's all been done by Adam Customs, and I must say it really does make this car look good. It's really distinctive as well, and the paint also has these cool black trim pieces on it as well. It looks really good. Going back to the top, you may notice these red nuts and bolts actually on the back windshield here. They were actually made by dress-up bolts, as you can see, and it gives a little bit more texture to the exterior of this car. Moving us out of the trunk of the car, here is where you can see some of the components of this car. Now this car does have a lift system, and of course here's the air tank, and the powder coating is actually made by Best Damn Powder Coating in Indian Trail, which is kind of cool to see. And the lift system itself is made by Airlift, which is really cool to see. And I guess I can go ahead and film what the lift looks like now. Moving back underneath the hood, as you can see, this car does have two aftermarket parts put into the side of this car, and one of them is this coolant expansion tank, which is made by Morso, as well as the AEM cold air intake, as you can see. And this car is pushing about 220 horsepower, and it really did feel about every bit of that whenever I rode in it. Another really cool thing is if you actually look on the top of the hood cover, you can actually see it says Joker Miata, which is actually the owner of this car. I'll leave a link to them in the description box down below. And this design is actually made by Crash Customs by Adam Crash Lockard, and it's absolutely incredible to see. Now let's go ahead and move on to some of the interior quirks. First thing you can notice is this car does have a custom door card, and I must say it actually has all this red trim to match the exterior of this car, and it looks really cool. One of the most obvious things you can notice inside of this car that's obviously aftermarket is the steering wheel. It is made by Zen carbon fiber, and as you can see, it has both carbon and leather all over it, and it's really cool. I also love how it has the red stitching along the side of it as well, just to add a little bit more of the exterior color into the interior, which it just looks really cool. Next we can talk about the shift lever. Now the shift lever is made by Custom Shifts, and as you can see, it adds a little bit more character. It is pretty tall, so you can easily grip onto it whenever you're shifting, and it just looks really cool to see. It has red and black flowers all over it inside of it, with a little bit of an ace card in the middle of it, and it just looks really cool. And looking at the headliner, as you can see, this headliner has also been customly made by Crash Customs, and as you can see, if you guys want to take the time to read that, I'll go ahead and back it out a little bit so you guys can pause it. There you go. So you guys can pause that and read it, and it looks really cool. I love how it has it's red and black to kind of bring a little bit more of the exterior color into the interior, and it looks really cool. And one quick side note, let's go on and talk about the seats, which as you can see, they're thickly bolstered leather with rim trimming, and both the seats and the harnesses are made by Brahm, as you can see, and they really do a good job holding you in place. They're really comfy, and they also hold you in place whenever you're riding in it, or technically in my case riding in it, whenever you're driving it, it also gives some good grip as well. Moving on to the back of this car, you can actually see the harness bar and also the roll bar. So the roll bar is made by Hard Dog, and then also the harness bar is actually made by Beat Rush, and as you can see, it just looks really cool back there. And those harnesses, they really do a good job in keeping you in place as well. To finish off the review, let's go and talk about the exhaust. Now this car's exhaust is aftermarket and is made by Goodwin Racing, and as you can see, it really does look good. And those exhausts really did make this car sound amazing. Take a listen. And so that's the 2009 Mazda Miata, but now it's time to get it out on the road. But I didn't say I was going to drive it. Instead, the car owner is going to drive it. But I'm going to be asking her questions about the driving experience, and she's going to do her best to answer them as best as she possibly can on camera. Without any further ado, also before we move on, let's go ahead and give a shout out to the owner of this car, Joker Miata, for letting me check out her absolutely incredible Mazda Miata. I will leave a link in the description box down below to go check out her Instagram. And guys, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get this thing out on the road. How's the steering like?
It's really responsive. So this car actually does have like the electrical steering, which is different from the first generation and second generation Miatas. But it's still very responsive, as you can see. It's really easy to move around the road. I do have upgraded sway bars, which improve the steering quality, which help for when you're dodging potholes and stuff, especially within a lower car like this. But personally, I would say it's really enjoyable to steer and drive, especially in comparison to something heavier like a Corvette or a truck. I mean, it's definitely really responsive.
How's like reliability like? Is it like easy to maintain?
Yeah, you know, we drive this car. We've driven it to Black Mountain and back, Nashville and back, Virginia Beach and back, Charleston and back, all within like a month. So it's, you know, the only thing for a Miata, especially the NC Miata, is you have to replace your coolant tank, because the stock ones actually have a liability to crack. Then you're going to leak all your coolant out, and then your motor's going to overheat and fork and blow up. So we replaced it with the aluminum expansion tank, and that's pretty much the only out of like normal maintenance thing that you have to do to these cars, especially for a higher mileage one. So this, I'll hit 120,000 pretty soon. So.
Oh really?
That would be my recommendation. If you get an NC Miata, definitely go ahead and replace that coolant tank if it hasn't already been done to an upgraded aluminum or expansion tank. Other than that, just keep up with your oil changes and you'll be good.
How's like shifting? Is it easy? Is rev matching easy? And
to me it is. I mean, this was my first manual car. I learned manual in a BMW. It was a 530i, so that was a little bit sketchy. Learning how to shift, learning how to use a clutch, I learned how to rev match in my 99 Miata. But it definitely easily transferred over to this car. I will say the shifter, I don't know if it's just mine, if it's worn out, but when I try to shift into first gear, sometimes it'll catch and you have to shove it in. That's the only thing I don't like about shifting in this car. So it's a little bit sticky.
Okay, how fast is this car?
It's not very fast. I mean, it's a Miata, so like if you're in a lower gear, it's gonna have a little bit of pickup, so you know, it'll throw you back in your seat a little bit. But if you're wanting a race car, it's definitely not the way to go. Some people decide to throw a V8 in these cars, and although I would like to do it for the shock factor, that's not my thing, because you're gonna lose your handling, you're gonna lose the enjoyability of the car. I feel like a safe swap to do with these cars would be the 2.5 liter swap, because that's going to give you just enough power, but still be enough to be enjoyable to drive.
So how long have you had this car?
I've had this car since January 2021, so about 15 months or so.
Wow.
Maybe actually a little bit more now.
Oh yeah, it does get up and go a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you need to get out of the way, it's going to get out of the way for you. But it's like I said, it's not something that you're going to be able to take down the drag strip stock and be able to beat, you know, anybody.
Yeah. And so that's Joker Miata's 2009 Mazda Miata. Anyway guys, if you guys did enjoy, please make sure you guys go hit that subscribe button, turn on post notifications, and also go ahead and go drop a like on this video to support me and the channel. Also guys, go follow me on all my social medias. They're going to all be linked in the description box down below, as well as all my social medias. Anyway guys, thank you all so much for watching today's video. Peace out.